Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Local Growth Academy, where we get to talk with all kinds of different business people, talking about how to build your local contracting business. Today, I'm super excited to have my buddy Aaron Grant. He's one of the members of Tridas, who's a pretty well-known Facebook marketing agency in the painter space. And with that said, Aaron, welcome, man. Great to have you here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate we were able to finally make it work. I know we had a couple
Yeah.
casting in the middle of
After PCA was a little bit nuts, right?
everybody, as it should be, right? Like, what's the point of
Yeah.
PCA if you're not going to get a little nuts after?
100%. Yeah. For everyone that doesn't know what that means, I was over ambitious and had a podcast scheduled there. And like the week after we got back, and I had to move it on them because I was like pretty crazy busy. So I appreciate your flexibility.
It was a smart idea. We scheduled before we went. We were like, oh, we'll do an immediate recap.
Yeah. We'll be super good. I had to move
tactically intelligent, linguistically not so much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of the cool things about the PCA and just events in general, like I go to lots of events a year. I try to go to at least one every other month, either for me or where I'm giving. Like I do at least 6 a year and have for a decade or more. I think one of the things that I see happen sometimes at these events is people go and they write a bunch of things in their notebook and then nothing happens. And the next year they go back and they write some more things in their notebook, and a year later, nothing happened. And so one of the things that I make a big deal, and I've got to get better at planning ahead for this because I know I'm going to do it. I sit down and look at all those notes and the recordings, and I do a lot on Apple Notes personally, but I'll take all my Apple Notes and just all these things and these voice notes and all the stuff that I'm doing. And then I try to unpack it and like, hey, there's this idea and this idea. Maybe we could do this. And like, then it's like, okay, well, because we're a team, it's not just, I'm not a solopreneur. It's like, well, who's going to take that leg and who's going to, you know what I mean? And so now it's like, hey, now there's like these new moving ideas that we want to try to put into the company.
Yeah. It's not just about absorption. It's about implementation, but then it's also orchestrating that and being the conductor and making the whole thing actually happen.
100%. Yeah. I call it like analysis paralysis, where people like get too much information, they never do anything with it. Or I've heard people refer to it also as like the perpetual student. It's like the Van Wilder, like that. Remember that funny movie?
I love that. He's just been in college for 11 years.
Yeah, he's just like in college for like ever. He's like 30 something years old, still in college, not graduating.
Let us all not be that when it comes to these events.
100%. I mean, I try to I don't even want to show up to like a 30-minute podcast, so I'm not going to take some notes and implement something.
Yeah.
What were some of your big takeaways from PCA this year? I know I always have a ton every year. What were some of yours?
I mean, ours was, a lot of the talks and a lot of the kind of content, was featured around some more modern topics this year than I thought like in previous years. I also thought that, there's good and there's bad, right? I mean, I don't know if I'm going to speak very candidly here just because that's what I'm always going to do.
That's what we do on these things, right?
PCA is, it's a great thing, but I felt like attendance was a little down this year. I don't know if that's like mathematically backed up, but that was just kind of the feeling. But the subject matter and the takeaway from it was, I walked away with more understanding from a like biz dev perspective and a partnership perspective from this one than I did from like an individual painter who we individually help kind of thing. Yes, we have tons of calls booked and life is good and everything along those lines. That's not happening, but not as powerful as it was like a previous year. And Tridas is, inside of our history, we've been more reserved, and like PCA hasn't been part of our mix for a very long time. This is only the second PCA that we've like shown at, right?
Yeah. Same on our side, by the way.
Really? No way. And you've been doing
I grew up as a painter, so I attended PCAs as a painter decades ago, though.
Yeah.
Back when it was just like, a couple dozen old guys with painter shirts still on, I don't
want to ask a sensitive question. Were we talking 2000s or were we talking 90s?
Both. So like late 90s and early 2000s. That was that era. Wow. So like, yeah, quite a different organization. And I mean, the organization's like, I forget exactly when, but like mid 1900s or something. I mean, it's pretty freaking old, right? And I didn't hear about it until my family started a business in like 89. My mom did. My parents split, and my mom started a paint business. And then I'm a kid, but I was like there on weekends. I mean, babysitting and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
right? So she would take me out and I would just help. Like I would like clean brushes and stupid stuff as a kid. And then eventually it was like, more and more and more. And by the time I was like a late teenager, I was like running crews and, basically like the number two in the family business and all that stuff. And it was about that time, like the mid 90s, where like, CertaPro started showing up on the scene pretty heavy
Yep.
and was like beating a bunch of family businesses out of the fucking water,
Yeah,
like
right.
all of a sudden, right? And so it's like there's this need to like, oh, we got to figure out how to
We got to modernize.
what are we doing? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I mean, some of my first marketing exposure was during this period of time. I was not a marketer at the time, but like understanding, like starting to understand, like, hey, we have to do something to get in front of
Something
people.
promotional.
Yeah, and then also, man, I remember the first production rate calculator I ever saw was in like 1996, CertaPro. I mean, it was an Excel on a laptop that was probably this thick,
Yeah,
but
right.
it was still, they could go in and measure stuff and type in measurements, and it gave them a price. And I was like,
You're like,
what's that?
yeah,
Now it's everywhere, but like that at the time, that was revolutionary.
right.
You
Yeah.
know,
No, I brought that up just because like last year was more, it felt more flow of, direct painter, direct relationship, this kind of a thing. But when we walked away
yeah,
from this one, it was much more relationships like you and I,
yeah,
and, several others that are just really engaging, really interesting, and just have higher leverage if you think about it that
yeah,
way.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and
And
that
I don't
that's
know the numbers either. I remember seeing like the for first day, the room appeared similarly packed as last year. I mean, I didn't head count anybody.
yeah, right.
What I noticed though is, and I don't know if it was maybe the resort, just how it was, because remember it was broken up in multiple levels.
Yeah.
I don't know if that created a disconnect, but I noticed a lot smaller numbers in the breakouts
Yes. Yeah.
over the whole thing. That's where I definitely saw the
Yeah, the
numbers. I
mind
can't
melts had a lot
remember.
more attendance, and it felt like there was maybe more tables, and it felt like there was more chatter and kind of thing. And I was like, oh, this feels great. And then
Yeah,
for the breakouts, for the even the showroom floor, like obviously that's an important thing for us because we swung big this year.
yeah, yeah.
It was just, I mean, it was good, it was solid. We walked away with good things, but it wasn't exactly what I was kind of really ultimately hoping for. And I'm sure that hurt some people's feelings, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that the PCA is a great group of individuals. Every one of them, I love them all, and I know everyone's there. Generally, has like a servant heart, trying to do their best. My only theory is maybe the hotel layout, because I mean there were people everywhere. Like
Yeah.
I would walk outside and there were people, but it was just like I don't know, it was just like discombobulated with the rooms.
Yeah, being there the day before, like helping with setup and things along those
Mhm.
lines, like just figuring out where we needed to go. I
Yeah,
think I had to ask 2 or 3 people, and then even when I knew what the answer was, I had to remind myself and look around a little bit kind of thing. It wasn't the most intuitive thing. So, like, yeah, I think when it was back, last year, when we were in Colorado, it was a little bit more just linear of, like, here, down these escalators, you're gonna be good. Where, like, in here, it was you had to
well,
go
those
2, and
rooms
then
were
you
all
had to go up
connected
another
though.
one.
It was like
It was
room. It wasn't like down escalators and all
yes,
the other
right, yep.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that helped. I mean, at the same time, anyone that's listening in, I don't think this we're trying to complain. The PCA is still a great event, and I still think like everyone in that space should go. You're still going to get tons of value out of it.
Yeah, 100%. It's
Yeah.
it's a great, like, even though I would say, like, direct one-to-one as far as payers is concerned, I think this is going to be our most successful show because I think that walking out with kind of the contacts and the relationships, that's what
Hmm.
this is more for me personally, right? Was
Yeah,
me
for sure.
just having more relationships like you and I and things on these.
Hmm.
It's like, it's gonna last a lot longer. It's going to be not, and less direct commercial, direct marketing type of thing, more long-term partnerships and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. I agree with that. One of my favorite things is because we're a remote company, right? So like I don't even see all my team all the time. I mean, my wife is on my team, so I see her daily, obviously. But
Mhm.
other than that, I don't see the rest of my team very often.
Mhm.
So going to the events like that too is a great time for me to catch up with my team, and also a great time to meet some of my clients.
Okay.
Every time I go to one of these events, whether it's like like Michael Hickman. I've been in a couple of his masterminds and things like that, and or the PCA and a couple of other side PCA things. Anytime we go to these events, like we always meet at least one or two clients, but sometimes a whole lot more.
Yeah.
I think we had somewhere around ballpark 20 clients there, give or
Yeah.
take.
Yeah. I think we had
Which is a pretty high percentage. I
right.
mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we did a bunch of podcasts and sit downs and stuff like that, just like
Hmm.
going over, because like PSA is also a huge source of of marketing material for us as well and things like that. So like, being able to sit down with those guys, but also like you said, meeting with the team. I mean, we had one of our guys from Scotland,
Yeah, I know. I met him. It's super cool dude.
yeah, it's a great guy. He came over and nah, I didn't think I was going to be able to meet him anytime soon. And here he was. It was just great to
yeah,
sit down and
yeah,
hash it out and just, get a better connection with these guys. Cause now just, we all fight that much harder and push that
yeah,
much harder through grit,
sure.
but yeah, no, it was a productive, healthy show.
Yeah,
We'll be going back, but just a bit of a different one. It just felt like a different flavor than what we
yeah,
got out of our first year, and this is
yeah,
only our second year. So I don't know if
yeah.
that's normal. I mean, you've been to a hell of a lot more than I have, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, the disconnects for like the ones from way back that I wouldn't, they're not even the same.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? The organization wasn't professionalized there, and ironically, I think, and I don't know if this was before um, Nick Slavic or
yeah,
if it was the voice that Nick Slavic brought, but the kind of overarching theme that I get from Nick and the PCA, and of course he just stepped down, and
yeah. He just stepped down, right?
just stepped down. Yeah,
I've yet to meet Nick. Hear about him all the time, and I love what he's doing with like the connecting good people to good people thing. So I want to talk to
yeah.
you about that. But
Yeah, well, I mean, my favorite messages from him, if anyone doesn't follow Nick Slavic, please do. He's such a great human being. He talks about a lot about like team and culture and how to hire people and train people and just how to make sure your team is full of good humans. And he says that a lot. Like he actually talks about just have great humans, right? And I think that's really, really important. I mean, no one can scale a business by themselves. I don't care who you are,
yeah,
right? We need teamwork. And yeah, I mean, we need software tools and systems and SOPs and all these other things, but
but at the end of the day,
you got to have humans too, right? You got to have great humans. And he talks a lot about that. And the other thing that's really, really big that he talks about is just professionalization. And I think what's interesting about the simplicity of that is like, oh, I need more marketing. Yeah, you got to professionalize the marketing engine in your business. You need sales. Yeah. How about some standards and SOPs and some training to professionalize your sales process? So like no matter what you're trying to do, it's just basically raising the bar of standards and processes and systems. And there's the label for that. And it's called professionalizing.
yeah.
And so it's like it's super simple. You could just like put that lens on through any subsect of your business and be like, oh, I just got to professionalize this area a little bit more.
Yeah, I would refer to it in my mind as like systemization, but I guess you're considering both the same.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, slightly synonymous, but yeah, yeah. At least, and that's the way that he talks about it. Like, we got to professionalize this. They got to be systems. There's got to be great humans. There's got to be training and stuff. And I think that it's an interesting. I like finding simple ways to explain complex topics because sometimes people like on the whole like analysis paralysis thing, if a topic is too complicated or at least the perception of it's too complicated,
Yeah,
then people just go and they don't act. You know what I mean? So like I think
use mind makes no choice.
yeah, exactly. And so and I think the responsibility then is on somebody that's trying to teach something. You as a presenter, I don't care if you're just teaching your kids something. Like you could be like a family leader, you
Well,
could
yeah,
be like on stage, whatever. I think it's an inherent responsibility to understand a little bit about how people process information. I mean, you
really.
don't necessarily have to go like get a bachelor's degree in psychology, but like just some basic principles.
No, I think
Because
it's more. I think it's more a test of empathy, right? Being a good teacher is a test of empathy and being able to put yourself
100%,
in that person's
yeah,
position, and like
yeah,
honestly, not to placate, but to actually try to put yourself in their shoes and be like, okay, I can
100%,
guess where you're coming from. Here's how
yeah,
I can connect the dots for you, and that's
yeah.
why I love teaching as well. Is like I, for some reason, I've always enjoyed that and done well with
Me
that.
too. Me too. I think I know you have a music background too, and we have that in common. I think like I got my first when I was a kid. My parents were like, "You're going to be a teacher one day." I'm like, "Never," right? So they tried to push me to go to college to become a teacher,
Mm,
because they saw something in me I didn't see at the time. I was like, "I'm never going to be a teacher, never going to be a teacher." And ironically, that's all I do with my day.
mm,
It's literally like 90% of my day, except when we have conversations like this. But
yeah,
like this is 10% of my week,
right.
maybe, right? And most of the time, I'm either training or coaching a client on something, or training
Mm,
or coaching my team member on something,
yeah,
or I'm doing some sort of public facing content like YouTube or
right.
an event or something like that. And so all of that is education, all of it,
Yeah,
you know, and that's just like the lion's share of my day. And so it's kind of funny, like my
you were right.
My parents are right. I did not see it at the time. And I was like, there's no way. Like, I don't have an education degree. I can't go teach at a high school or
Yeah, right.
something. But I do teach, and I spend a good amount of time studying how people
That's really
interpret.
interesting. Right. When I was,
Yeah, it is,
my
you
parents
know?
is tried to direct me towards like healthcare. Uh,
Okay.
that's where they kind of came from, and they were like, "You're gonna follow in those footsteps." And
Yeah.
it was a definite no, and it's still a no, and in no way, shape, or form in healthcare. And this really interesting study that was about, because I'm on the client facing side and on the sales side of things, and was like,
Mhm.
people who do best inside of those realms, when they come from a previous position, the best position that they can possibly come from in order to adopt, say, just a sales role, are the people from healthcare. Nurses are some of the best people in order to come across.
Wow.
And the question is,
I could see that. I mean, the amount of
care, the empathy, you have
stress,
the,
the
yeah,
stress, and
the
all
ability
the
to deal with that, the ability to take yes and no, the ability to deal with good and bad, like perseverance. There's a lot that's
the ability for them, how they have to deal with different administrators and different doctor personalities, as well
deal
as
with.
different patient person, because they're kind of right smack in the middle. Nurse, I know I have a few friends that are nurses, and they really get the blunt end of it, because you got administrators pulling one way, doctors pulling another way, and patients pulling another way, and they're kind of right dead smack in this
I mean,
triangle.
I always say this, like healthcare are special people. I have
They
a lot of
really are.
people in my family, not just in my family, but in my
Mhm.
wife's family, that are on the healthcare side of things and see some really complex things,
Okay.
and it takes a special soul. So like, God bless
It
them. But
does.
like, yeah,
It
I
does.
mean, my mother, for example, over 40 years as a nurse inside really the
Wow.
same hospital for her entire life and seen some really amazing and complex and difficult things and never let it affect her when she came home, and still provided kind of thing. Takes a special soul.
My dad, so that's what we have. Every time we talk, I find even more that we have in common. My dad was in the Navy, and he was what's called a corpsman, which is basically like um, an ER nurse,
Yeah, you
right?
are. Yep.
So I mean, and they have different kinds of corpsmen. There are hospital stationed corpsmen. There are field ones,
Mm.
and then he was attached to like a helicopter special forces unit for a while. Well, he did like his training in a hospital, and then he got attached to this a helicopter special forces thing. And man, the stories of the things that he did it was gnarly.
Mm.
Really, really crazy stuff. But same to you, like I would, as a kid, looking back on things, he didn't come home and bring that home. It
Oh,
was
no.
it was left at work. You know what I mean? And most of the crazy stories I didn't hear from him until I was in my 20s.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Even now, I still really don't ask. I know better than
Yeah.
to ask because, like, honestly, it's just not something I'm equipped for. So I think I made the right choice. I think I did. It's insane. Like, I'm not
Dude,
going.
I hate getting pricked with a needle. I'm a wimp. There's
Yeah,
no
like
way I could.
but that's why I have to whenever we talk about this topic and inside my life. Anytime we talk about this topic, there's always a moment where I'm like, God
Yeah,
bless you. Like you
for
are
real.
doing God's work and
Yeah,
it takes a special soul in order to do it. But I just
healthcare.
thought it was interesting. Like you brought up the teacher and how you ended up doing teaching.
Yeah.
And my parents are pushing me towards healthcare, which I didn't end up going into. But then I saw that parallel inside that study, and I just thought
Hmm.
that was like,
It is.
I think that was just them picking up on empathy and picking up on who we were as kids and being like, hey, maybe that is actually where you end up going, and maybe they were both kind of right in their own way.
Yeah, for sure. And you probably picked up a lot more from your mom than sometimes we all do from our parents. We all pick up more from our parents than we realize, right? But you probably picked up some of that um, ability to handle the stress
Yeah,
and
compartmentalization.
reflections and compartmentalization from her, just like secondhand. Even though you weren't in a hospital with her, learning it firsthand,
Right, but you see it in other parts of
the
life.
behaviors that she
You do it in
demonstrated
other
in
parts
other
of
parts of life, you picked up on
life.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
I always find that stuff really, really fascinating too. Kind of going back to like, when I was a kid, my parents are like, "You're gonna be a teacher." I was like, "No, I'm not." Well, also at that same age, when we all do this, we're all like, "I want to be nothing like my parents," right?
Mhm.
Like kind
Yeah,
of branch out. And then I look at my life, like very honestly now, and like really close to what the
yeah.
example that they set.
Um,
And I'm actually really proud of that. I mean, because they had really good morals. They set a very good example. And so I'm happy to be that. But it's interesting when you're in the like that teenage era, you're like, nah, never. You know what I mean?
And I
And
hear
then we
about that a lot with our clients too. They'll be raising their kids up, and a lot of times it's about legacy, right? A lot of people care
yeah,
about, hey, I want to make this for my kids. I want to do this kind of thing. And sometimes the
yeah,
kid is absolutely with it, and sometimes the kid is Absolutely not. But then ends up coming around. I've heard that story plenty of times too. It's like, they were sure that they weren't going to do it, but it's been 4 years now. They're coming back and they're really excited to get into it, kind of thing. So like, hopefully that's a parallel that you the listeners of this can see. Like, it's funny how it all comes full circle. And
It does.
sometimes,
Well,
as much as we all want to blame our parents, and so, as much as we want to say our parents, it's quite often that they're actually right.
yeah, they're right. My parents are. Every time I look back at something, like, oh, I learned that lesson from them. I would add to that what you're saying with like the children come back around, like, and most of my clients, and we have, of course, we share some clients too,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of them talk about like the reason they stopped being an employee and they did this own thing is because they wanted to be able to maybe have some freedom. That word comes up light. I want to be able to have a freedom. They might not have it yet, but they're aiming for it.
Right.
And legacy. The words freedom and legacy come up like all the time when you ask people.
It's got to make up 70% of the basal reasons that we're on.
Yeah, there's a few people are like just money, but that's not.
Some agreed, and some are need.
Some agree, but most of them is lifestyle freedom.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd be able to have some time with the family, provide legacy, for them and maybe their community, right? So something to that effect. And I would say, like, some of the things we commonly say, hey man, whether your kids are doing it or not, if you can really systematize and scale the business, right? You don't necessarily have to create like a $50-100 million empire, but you got to get it past the 1 million mark. I mean, you got to be somewhere in that like probably 2.5, 3 or up, right? Because when you get to that realm, you have enough money to be able to have a project manager, a salesperson, an office manager, and like you'll still be CEO.
Yep.
But you don't really have to do any of the quote unquote day to day. You can show up 2 hours late and the business still runs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone
answering
the phone, someone going on appointments, someone running your crews. That's a huge amount of the management that younger, smaller CEOs will have, and that's the part that creates a burnout.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about coming to like PCA is like, and other events like this too, but the PCA especially, is you see people with like varying levels of scale. And I don't generally like the idea of comparison, because I think comparison is like the thief of joy. That's a little cliche, but I really believe that. I don't compare myself to you directly, right? Or anyone else, not any of the marketing company. Like, but I look at what people do from the context of maybe understand something that's possible that I wasn't thinking of, right?
Well, yeah, there's the idea of like, I'm not looking. The only way that I would look over and compare myself to somebody else is to make sure that they had enough, rather than comparing and coming backwards and seeing that I don't have as much as they do. But it's more pattern recognition, I think, is what you're talking about. It's just
exactly. It's pattern recognition.
Observing from a 30,000-foot view.
Well, and what I love about it is you can get a guy that's maybe stuck at like 500, 750 million, whatever number they're stuck at, and they can go in there and they'll meet dozens of people that are like 2, 3, 4, 5x, maybe even 10x of them, and they're like, oh, it is possible. You know what I mean? You've heard some of the same things when people are when they're trying to create that freedom and they're trying to create that legacy. A lot of times it's our own limiting beliefs that get in our way. Like, like, oh, I can't do that. Well, why? Everyone else, it's like a whole bunch of other people are doing it, like, and you can hear that in everything. Like, I hear all the time, like, meta ads don't work. Right? Google ads are good, but meta ads, and of course we both know that's not true.
Yeah, but also, you know what I've also heard? I've also heard that SEO is dead. And I've heard that websites aren't important. It goes both ways. Hyperbolic in every way.
And you could take it even further than that. Not even talking about the main things that you and I do. You know how many people tell me like Angie sucks, and then right behind it, it's like I got another person. It's like I'm doing $2 million a year on Angie's alone. I just had a conversation like that last week from a contractor that's literally doing, I think it was closer to like 1.8, but he's like he's doing like 7 million overall, and almost 2 million of that is Angie's.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, other people are like, Angie's is horrible. I can't make any money. Yeah, you can. You're just not doing it right. You know what I mean?
The way we always say it, like, because we're not big on bashing, and I know that like we're a little weird in the space as far as that's concerned, but like what we say is like everything works. All these if you're going to bring it up on the skull as of right now, it's because it does work. Do mailers work? Do door hangers work? Does door knocking work? Does BNIs work? Does everything work? Everything works. It's just what is scalable, what is fast, what is your strength, what are you designed in order to do? Like the place that can make Angie's work and the place that can't make Angie's work, they have different setups. And like it's not necessarily grit, it's just how you're set up and the DNA and how you look at the
different leads require different things, 100%. Yeah. Oh, I mean, but even, it's taking the same concept off of marketing, moving to say production. People will say like, oh, well, sub crews don't work because I can't control standards, and other people will say, well, like W-2s don't work because I can't hire fast enough. Well, that's both true, but
Yeah.
there's also people doing both of them right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago. It's like, it's systems. You know what I mean? You can make anything work if you first correct the knowledge and get the
I think
systems in place, and then have some repetitions, because you're going to, even with the right knowledge and systems, you'll still stumble.
I
Like, you
think
got to,
even I think even like before that though, it was just more openness. Some people are like very ready to be right and very
which is why I was getting at the PCA, because if you see it, you're like, oh, it actually is possible.
yes. I
You
think
have
the
that limiting
PCA.
belief.
I think examples like that are so high touch and they're so tactile and they're the guy sitting right in front of you and talking to you kind of thing. But beliefs are, even done over like a Zoom call or something, or a podcast like this. Some people can hear things and they can just be like more or less closed minded to it kind of thing. So it's like more removed, but PCA is great for that. And events are great for that. Because when you sit down next to the person and you talk to them about it and you can sense that this is really what's happening right now, it's really hard for somebody to be closed minded to it. When you
Yeah,
meet 12 people who are doing better than you are and saying like, yeah, we all do this and it
we all
works
do
really
X
damn
here, we
well.
do Y over here, and yeah, and I know.
And honestly, we're all going to challenge you on your belief of that doesn't work or that's dead or that's dying or whatever it is. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, maybe
Yeah,
maybe I can
I
do.
I approach that similar to what you do, and like when we're having consult calls on our side, we'll have people like, well, I heard this works and this doesn't work, and this work and this doesn't work. I'm like, yes, they all work. Just which one's right for you
Yeah.
at your current phase, at your current budget, at the current operational capacity you have to maybe do. Like, some systems require more follow up, for example, right? Like Angie is one of the big things, that if you don't respond in 5 minutes,
Your coach.
you're done.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't respond instantly, you're done. And the guy that's doing like 2 million, he has someone that just, that's all they do. Okay, that's why.
Wait.
So like, it's like that one weakness of that system, he just put in somebody to fix it. Cool. Now it's done. Now it works,
Right.
right? And like for Google, we were talking about this we were talking together about the roundtable. Like, you have to answer the phone. Like, missed calls in Google crush you. Even if you call back in 5 minutes, it's still too late, because they just called the next contractor and they answered the phone. And Meta sometimes, depending, obviously it depends on setup and whether they're DIYing or using a lot of other variables, but they, on average, will have a few more people that like will ghost them than some other channels, right? Doesn't mean it doesn't ROI. It's just, that's a thing that can sometimes happen, right? So all these channels have these pros and cons, and we're just like, hey man, there's these channels have these trends. Like, what systems and what workflow is going to work best for you right now?
Well,
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I think that's the only way to do it too, is to help people actually advise and help find something that's the right fit. Sometimes we tell people no, because it's like, what we do isn't the right fit. Go over
Oh
here
yeah.
instead.
God,
You
I say no more than I would more than I would like to. That's for sure. But it's just
know?
that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing in order to do. And you know, generally people take it very well, because they realize that they're not, that it's coming from a good place as long as you deliver the news the proper way.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
And, they're like, okay, well, I actually really appreciate that. And then, you either point them in the right direction or say like, hey, this is what we need to see in order to feel more comfortable with this kind of thing. You go from there.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's about working with the people who understand these things. Like I
Yeah.
started in SEO. That's how I started my digital marketing career all those years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm picking up what you're putting down kind of thing, and I can relate to it. It's just how do you
Yeah.
get that knowledge and how do you convey that you got it, and that what the next step really is. I think that's the
Yeah. My wife started in the web SEO stuff about 20 years ago. I was like several years behind that. Like,
mm,
I actually started in video marketing.
mm,
So I was working for production companies, running like big cameras and on, commercial shoots and stuff like that. So that's where I kind of did that, like script writing and video production and editing and special effects and audio engineering and like all that stuff, and then media buying. Like I was doing actual TV commercials and stuff too. So it's like, that's where I cut my teeth. Was on the kind of traditional side of media. And then when I left that world, my wife and I started our first agency, and then I started
Very
getting
cool.
into web directly. But she had already had like several years of experience, and so she still
Easy.
does lead our web team. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot more, but she still leads that web team.
Very
Yeah.
No, I mean similar. Started SEO and email marketing, and then that matured over time and became marketing automation. This is before
Yep.
AI was a thing, so I built that up.
Yep. Yep.
Went into the agency space, got directorship, left that, was EVP for a company for a little bit, and then realized that that was not a good, healthy balance for my family and for, my third child and stuff like that. So, um, all of this, throughout everything that I just said, sales is always kind of part of it and integrated inside of it, sales and marketing. And so, they're always inexorably tied. So
Yep.
then left and joined up with, Ryan and good people at Tridas now.
Yeah.
Always been
Yeah.
good since.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. You're an awesome dude to know. I love every time we get a chance to chat. Um, my story is kind of similar. I did kind of the same thing, and you know, and radio slash TV, mostly TV, and then started an agency, and had another partner in it, and then just I'm still friends with the guy, but there was just directional differences. He wanted to go one way, I wanted to go another, and we just fought tooth and nail over it, like
Mm-hmm.
just petty fights over long periods of time.
Well,
And Vince was like, "Yeah, it's not going to be for me." So my wife
yes.
and I left that, started search to grow.
Cool.
So I've been in the agency space for like 20 years. First few years were like working for someone else's agency,
Mm.
and then we built that other agency. Had that, I want to say it was like 12 or 13 years, I think. I don't remember exactly. It was somewhere in that ballpark. And then left that in 6 years, started this. So that's been our journey. And I love this too, because I mean, I was like, half in control of the last agency, but like, my wife and I see eye to eye on the direction. And sometimes there's things that she wants to do that I'm like, I don't see it, but go for it. And she'll give me the latitude as well.
Sure.
Whereas like the last company, there was like multiple people involved, and
Sure.
people were like, no, this is the way. And it
Yeah.
was just frustrating.
Red tape.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to do back then is what I'm doing now. Like this is like circa 2018. I was like, I want to spend nearly our entire marketing budget on nothing but video content.
Mm.
Right. And they were like, no, we can't do that. We got to do like, traditional Google ads and, blogs and all that stuff. And I mean, we still do some of that. Like we have a tiny ad budget for ourselves. We don't do almost none.
Yeah.
Small ad budget. And we do convert our content into blogs and sometimes apps and resources and downloads. But like our marketing budget, and again, this, like I wanted to do this in like 2017 and 18. And it took breaking away from that company and starting this in 2020. And my wife and I were like, we're going to go like kind of Gary Vee style, where it's just like everything's organic. You know what I mean?
Just document the process.
It's document the process. We've documented our journey as we go, record freaking everything. Like, we're on Riverside right now. I doing this podcast, but I also use it for like coaching calls and other things too. And so like, we can take that. I have a full-time video editor, and she can just grab the file straight from online. And a couple of the things that we do, like our client coaching calls, are on Zoom because it's a little easier for them. So the quality is not as good, but it is what it is. But like we record our free strategy calls that we give away. We record like our client coaching calls, a podcast, and then I use Riverside to record like things like shorts and mediums for like YouTube and social media and stuff, and then that gets cut up. And then when we're at events, we recorded some reels at the round table that you saw that we
I saw.
So a little camera there. One of my buddies, Braden, brought over. He was nice enough to record that for us. Yeah, Braden's awesome. Kaylee was there too, but Braden was the one that actually recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we just take those shorts and just put them everywhere. And then Alex Hormozy talks about this strategy too. I think it's a brilliant strategy. So we take all this organic content and we post it, and the stuff that does well is the stuff that we put into ads.
Yeah.
And the stuff that doesn't, we just okay, cool. We posted it. We don't waste ad money on it. You know what I mean? So that's what we do. We post probably somewhere around like 100 to 200 shorts a month, somewhere in that ballpark. And then, we're not doing as many medium lengths as I would like to. But we do probably do like half a dozen of those. So, and then we just whatever messages work, we'll turn into ads. And then we listen like feedback from clients and events and all these other stuff to help kind of determine like new directions on new content, That's nothing novel either, man. Just listen to, what I mean? Just listening to people, like what they want to learn about, and just then do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's just about putting the thing up and seeing what resonates. And sometimes, just like in advertising, sometimes you can have a really, really good idea, and you could be able to put, I'm so sure that out of video A, B, C, and D, B is going to be the winner. I just know it. and then you're wrong. That's just,
And you're wrong. I know.
I've been doing this for too long to ever even make a guess anymore. Like that's
I
part of the science and the experimentation and almost the fun of it. You know?
I will use my predetermined notions from previous things to determine a logical maybe version A, and then I get creative on other versions and variants of it because it doesn't always work like you
Right.
said. But I mean, I'll leverage on some of my previous experience to like maybe can I get a starting ground. But then yeah, it's almost never the short that you think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple shorts of mine that do really 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 well. I've gotten like huge amounts of viewers, and none of them are the ones I would have thought
Right.
they
The
would
ones
have.
that you thought they were going to be.
Right? I mean, it was
Probably is.
one of them was about like a little anecdotal lesson that I learned as an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force, and I thought it was kind of silly. Like I was like, I mean, it's a cool like. I mean, to me, it's meaningful, but I just didn't think it was that big of a
Yeah.
deal. But I was talking about it one day, and they were like, "We should record that." And they was like, "Turn on the camera." So I just kind of repeated it again to camera, turned it into a short, and it's in our like top 10 views. I might even be in the top 1 or 2. And to me, it was like it was like an afterthought, really. You know, it was always kind of like giving a little mini lesson to one of my team members with this thing and tying it back to the story. And they're like, "Man, you should record a short on that." And then we did, and it was just like boom. But it wasn't like normally what we do is we come up with ideas and write them down.
Yeah.
And
Right.
some of those ideas will get rejected. Like, nah, I don't want to do that. And then the ones that do, they go and then we record them, right? So it's like idea, production, edit, publish, right? So
So what was it? Was it the fact that you had just like repeated that several times and somebody said like, "Oh, I heard that several times." Why don't you just record something about it and just kept coming up?
yeah, like in office, I was using that as like a teaching lesson for somebody to like make a point.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that phrase? I don't know who came up with this. I heard it a long time ago. No idea who said it, but I love it and I've adopted it like fully. And it goes like this: never tell a point without a story. Never tell a story without a point.
I never heard of that. No.
It's been repeated in top like stage presentation
Yeah.
courses and books. So like Simon Sinek talks about leveraging story, things like so like top like TED speaker kind of thing, which I've taken several of those courses. I bought Simon Sinek's class, multiple Brunson classes, blah 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 blah. And this topic comes out a lot. And I don't think that they invented that saying. I heard it there, and I think it comes from somewhere else. But it's really interesting. It's like if I don't want to just rattle off a bunch of data points without connecting it to a story, because again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the way people learn, if I just rattle off like 10 data points to you, I mean, you and I might remember because we're special kind of geeks, but the average person won't, right?
Yeah.
But if I can have some sort of like data and I could tell a story about something, about how I learned and overcome something, and tie it back to like a piece of data that they should pay attention to, or maybe a tactic they should do or something, right? Whatever it is, if I could tie it to a story, chances are people will remember it.
Right.
So I use this when I'm, presenting. I use it when I'm trying to get my team to do something that they're not doing, right? I will make points because the thing that I'm asking them to do or asking them to change will likely be forgotten unless I put it to a story. And that's all I was doing that day. It was just like, I don't even remember what the point was, honestly. I remember the story, but I don't remember the point I was making because I've made multiple points with that story.
You were just trying to in your head as to like what story can it possibly apply?
Yeah, exactly. So I was trying to make this point. It was like, I was going through my data bank of like things. I was like, oh, that'll work. And then I did that. And they're like, man, you should make a short. So then I did that. And they were like, and then that reel was, it's one of my older reels too. It's probably 4 years old and it's crushing it. But I think, I don't know. I actually want to ask you a question too, kind of on the meta stuff, because we see a variety of things across our desk. But what I tend to see on our clients' meta ads that work the most is the ones that have some, even if it's small, some kind of story, even if it's just a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Instead of just like, "Hi, I'm Micah with ABC Paint," and click the button to get a quote. Like that, you know what I mean? Like something to do about like who we are, why we're here. I mean, it really could be one tiny anecdote of story.
Yeah.
One.
And usually what we, I mean, that is absolutely true. When you can attach a story, when you can attach a subject, when you can attach any sort of before and after, but like not just show a before and after in a picture, but actually convey it. Those always do best. And, you could build in some mechanics like, so it was definitely, it's been 15 years since they painted their house. So it was definitely time, that person could be like, it's been 25 years since I painted my house. Right. it's like you could build in these types of things, but like
Yeah.
the small, like, hey, X area, we do interiors, exteriors, and that's it. Like a lot of guys do that, and we like it to be deeper. We like it to be showing off and also showing the highest quality work physically possible as well.
Yeah.
Because, if you're going to spend money in advertising, we should be aiming for the top 10, 20 percentile of what you do. The full
Yeah.
interiors and the full exteriors and like the real jobs that really move
Yeah.
the thing.
People will still call you for the other stuff. Go aim for the
They'll
fences.
call you. And that's all well and good. But like I say this on, when we're speaking with new guys, is like, that's what we want to focus on. And the bottom 80% of work that you've had to do up until this point, the favors and the keep your guys busy kind of jobs, and like, God bless it, that all needed to be there. But like, we don't care about that work. We really want to attract this and focus on this. And when you shoot for the stars, sometimes you're going to land on the moon and somebody's going to call you for a 3-room job and you can still have that combo.
I know.
It's very
I know.
logical, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's
but
interesting
without the story, it falls very flat. And
yeah.
what we always want for our people is for when they go to the estimate, homeowner opens up the front door and goes, "Oh my God, you're the guy in the video."
Yeah, you're that guy. Yeah.
And if you don't know the story, people won't even remember. But if you tell a story, they hear your voice and they see your face and they get the idea, and that remembrance goes up. The longer that video is, the more you can pull them in, the more that percentage goes up. And that just does, that's a completely different way to approach this game.
Well, so, and I agree with everything you just said. What's interesting too is and I think this really goes back to that: never tell a point without a story, never tell a story without a point. And again, I'm going to have to look it up one of these days for where that came from.
I'll chat GPT it right now. Go ahead.
Go for it while we're on.
Yeah.
Okay, but what's interesting is when we see the same thing on web. So I'll give you an example. Last year, we had 2 clients kind of in the Twin Cities area. They weren't conflicting, so like we weren't taking 2 people in the same radius, but they were close enough to be a very, very good comparison. You know what I mean? They were basically right next to each other. Now, client A had like headshots and team photos and photos of their team working with uniforms on, right? Little anecdotal stories. I think they had a family photo, but we've determined that doesn't actually matter. It just has to be team, but family, people, right? But it can't be like stock photos of random dudes, right? It's got to be like people in your uniform, right?
Yeah.
So these guys basically
people by people, not models.
Yeah, we have like a 1-page document. It's like kind of like a media checklist that you can give to like a professional to like get some basic stuff. We call it like a media day, right? You can hire a photographer / videographer, come out and take a few B-roll clips, do a couple of things, maybe a couple of Facebook ads if you're doing that. But the big things that we get in there is like get headshots of every key member, take group photos, have shots where it's like your vans in not necessarily in the driveway, but like visible in front of the house with the branding on the truck and the house in the background of people's on ladder. Like get like the branding and the job being done in the same shot.
Yeah.
And have like multiple of that. Do that inside the house, outside the house, right? And of course, maybe take a few nice after photos that maybe are a little bit better than your cell phone. But mostly it's like the stuff with like, we call them like in the industry, there's like B-roll shots, right? No. It's like the behind the scenes stuff. It's like all those things. Get some good BTS stuff. And where there's like media checklists that we give. And so in this example, client A did that. They did exactly what we said. And their SEO results just like this, Client B refused to get any photos. He gave us before and afters of jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
So
but there was no humans on that. None. And we're not going to buy stock images of random actors and put them on there. It's like, if it's not actually you, there's probably a bad idea to do that. So there's no humans. And of course, this website looks like we do great websites. It wasn't a template website, but it definitely looked like it.
Right.
Because there's no humans, there's no personality. There was no
there
was like the about page just talked about their 4-step painting process. There was no actual story about how they got started or anything like that. There was nothing meaningful about any human being in that company. And that company plateaued on that. The technical SEO got a bump, right? For sure. But then because the content had no personalization, there was no extra growth. So we literally created a policy moving forward after that. And we always have known it's important, but we saw this direct side-by-side comparison. And now we have a hard rule for our clients. And if they don't do it, we let them go.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to collect media, right? And a lot of times sometimes people will come to us like, oh, I don't want to do meta ads because I got to record a lot of video. Guess what, buddy? I'm going to make you do a lot of media too.
Guess
Like
what?
it might not be all video, but there's going to be a lot of photos and stuff. Because the reality is meta requires media. Websites require media. Billboards require media. Like all of it requires media. You know what I mean?
It's this funny catch-22 of I want promotion and I want my name and my face out there, but I don't
But
want
without
to.
capturing my name on my face,
No,
you know.
what are we doing? You're like, listen, we're here
I
to
know.
help. Like we can do it better than everybody else, but
I know.
let's do this.
Well, and that client B was just unfortunately very bashful, very shy.
Yeah.
Did not want to put his name in there. But now he definitely didn't want to do family. And again, we this was like early last year. We saw a few different cases of this. After that one, we're like, let's look at this deeper. Read some case studies on the matter too. Found that other people were finding similar results. So we typically think about like SEO a little bit more traditionally, backing up a few more years, is like great technical stuff, great content about the article or page that you're at, and that's kind of it. But now if there's not a high amount of personalization, at least on a local business level, it has almost no chance of ranking.
Yeah, I think that's more and more true on a local business level, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think like if you got like a
it's
basket weaving, blog, you can probably be fine, right?
you could probably be fine not putting a face on there, but like a homepage is always number one. But what's number two? It's always the About Us page. It's always the About Us page.
Always. Yeah, you can literally look at the Google Analytics and see that, and it's always.
So like if I'm looking at your website and I'm a local guy, like, and I'm clicking the About Us page, if I don't see your face, then we're just back to the beginning of this conversation of just like, then I don't get a sense as to who you are as a person. And at the end of the day, whether anyone disagrees with it or doesn't disagree with it, people buy people.
Yeah.
And them's the facts.
Yeah, it is.
And that's just the way that it is. So so never tell a story without
and
a
if you
point.
don't do that, you almost feel like one of those corporate conglomerates, like where there is no face, right? No one wants. We don't like that. The Walmart and the AT&Ts of the world. You know what I mean? Like
the $15 and $20 million a year places that we work with, they don't want it. They want to be the locally feeling place, and that's the right way to go. You don't want to. You're not Coke. Why are you trying to be Coke? Like that's not what we're here to do. You're not Pfizer. Let's not treat it like that. Like
I know.
So, but then never tell a story without a point, and never tell a point without a story. Which attributed to Mark Twain, by the way. So now you know.
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain.
There we go. I knew it was something old, but I forgot what it was. Awesome. Yeah, Mark Twain. I'll try to remember
that. But it comes down to people as well, right? Like story is how people relate to people. So like you're talking about how to communicate to people, and we're talking about how people need to be able to be that person, and people by people. Like that's the full kind of circle on the point. But yeah, I mean, we stress this a lot inside of what we do, and the one thing that I'll say is like, the people who have shown the most reticence towards it and have been the most like, hey, listen, that's not really who I am. It's like, okay, I can appreciate that. I don't think I've actually taken like a personal selfie of myself in my entire life. I've taken selfie with my kids and my family, but like in a mirror, like I've never taken that picture. Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. But you know what changes people's tunes? When you challenge them on it and they give it a shot.
And it works
fantastically well. And they're like, I just paid another $30,000 because I went ahead and did this. And then those same guys will come back to us and be like, hey, buddy, you want 5 more videos? No problem, man. I'm here for you. Like, not a problem whatsoever. It's like that changes the tune. And they start to realize that it's not here. It's not a vulnerability thing. It's just what is actually required in today's day and age.
It is recorded. It is
talk about it or not, and you can agree with it or not, but it is what it is because people do buy people.
And my point is like, and I agree with everything you said. I would just add that sometimes people right now, at least the people that come to us, a good portion of them seem to think that they only have to put their face on camera if they're running meta ads. And I'm just saying that that's not true anymore.
Oh yeah.
Even on Google. Now you might get away without video, but you need a lot of photos with your face on it. But it's still video's best there too, right? Having a few videos interspersed on your website is going to be better than
there's
none.
There's ad extensions that you want to put videos on, and there's a lot of things that you want to do there too. Like
I know. I mean, and even with
people aren't afraid to have a competitive advantage, and what we were talking about our self limitations, and how some people don't like jump the gap kind of thing. You meet 12 people who are running this successfully, and they're just not. They're brave enough to get in front of the camera. You realize like this is actually. you've done the hard part and you constructed the business, but you're not going to just go ahead and, do this slightly uncomfortable thing. And how do you expect your business to grow if you're not going to be slightly uncomfortable?
Oh, dude, a business. I mean, I would challenge myself and, of course, you and every other business owner listening to this. You got to be like always uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable, you're not growing. But on that uncomfortable for the video piece on Meta, there's a guy locally, and I'm 99.9% sure he's not working with an agency, right? No, he's a landscaper. I see his ads. He's in my area directly, right? And so I'll be scrolling on Facebook late at night, looking at DMs and checking whatever out, right? Cat videos and whatnot. And I'll see this landscape guy come up. And it's, from my perspective, very, very much DIY because the scripts were a little bit rambly, so on and so forth. But I'm in his pixel and have been for probably a month. And I remember the first couple of videos were really rough, right? But I was like, kudos to this guy.
Yeah,
He's doing it, He probably, maybe he can't afford an agency right now, but he's just turned on the camera. And he might even be just doing boost posts. He might not even be doing full on ads. But I saw sponsored, and this guy's talking to camera about his business. He's in front of like a neighborhood sign in like a nice affluent area where a lot of high value, like 400,000 to $2 million homes are. Good target market for a business like his, right? I'm like, this is great. Like, he's clearly uncomfortable, but awesome. And then I remember like a week later, I saw another video. I was like, that was a little bit better. And then I saw last week, I was like, dude, this guy's starting to get good.
Okay, all right.
And so, and it's interesting. I still don't think he's working with an agency because it's still not like what you or I might script or help script.
Right.
With like clear, compelling, like hook and meet and offer like kind of things, CTAs and stuff.
Right.
But it was still just like, hey, it's like your buddy next door. Hey man, I got a landscape company. Here's kind of what I do. I think I can help you out if that sounds good. Click the button. Yeah, very, very informal, but still somewhat had the constructs of what needed to be there.
Yeah.
And he's getting more comfortable. And I mean, I don't know his results because I don't even know the guy, but it's just interesting to see. It's like the people that are like scared at first. Yeah, the first video sucks. Yeah. Oh, well, so what? It won't be there in 6 months. You know what I mean?
I'm all of our lives. We're all dead bodies talking anyway.
If anyone wants to check me out, go to my YouTube channel, scroll all the way down.
I promise you.
It's not very good. I can tell you that. Right? It's not very good.
And I don't hold you against it,
lots of ums and ahs and rambly stuff and, talking in circles and whatnot.
But from my heart of hearts, like if I'm watching this guy and I'm seeing somebody else who's in a landscaping company on the same side, and if I had to take my money, because I am a betting man on the side, but like if I had to take my money and I had to bet on one guy or the other guy, the guy who's doing this and the guy who's not doing this, I'm putting my money on this guy. Like he's the one I'm putting my money
on. 100%. I don't want to click his ad because I know what it'll do. I don't want to like add to cost, right? I mean, I know there's already some cost per impression just for me seeing his stuff, right? I don't want to add to it, right? But I mean, the videos are definitely getting better, and I would bet large amounts of money just because he's willing to take the risk. He's willing to be uncomfortable, like we just talked about. Like he did not look comfortable in that first video.
Yeah.
He was like pulling teeth, but he was like, I got to do this. And he just did it anyways. Right. And I think that nature of like that grit that comes from like, I know that I have to do this. I don't really want to do it. I'm uncomfortable doing it, but I know it needs to be done.
Yeah.
That's honestly, man, that's what makes most successful people, if not all,
And that's what a lot of conversations, are for us with our clientele. Like, inside of like, if they're a prospect, is like, I know that this works, but I've been burned in the past. There's a lot of difficult things in the past and, past doors and stuff like that. It's like at the end, they're just like, listen, I'm not, let me think about it, that kind of a thing, and it's just like, well, it's what's coming up. And it's actually at the bottom of the thing is fear and discomfort.
Yeah.
And the idea is just like,
always
understood, but what do you think you have to do, in order to put yourself inside the best position that you possibly can to feed your guys and to make this fix? Is it to let that past experience rob you of, going forward and doing something that is going to be productive? Or, are you just going to aim for comfort? Because how does a business grow when you're in comfort or discomfort? And every one of them knows, because they've all built a business up until this point. Every single one of them comes back and says discomfort. It's like, yeah, exactly.
It's always discomfort. Yeah.
So what do you think we need to do? Usually,
and I think, kind of going back to the PCA too, it's like, yeah, we probably know that there's got to be something discomfortable that we have to do to gain something later, right? But then we can also, like, when we go to events like PCA, like I would say, like, if you were to look at any of the paint companies that are maybe doing maybe at least 3, but definitely 4 or 5 and up,
Mhm.
there's a few things. Now they'll do these things differently, but there's a few things they all pretty much do. They all have a reasonable looking brand. Not all of them are caricatures, but they all have a professional brand,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Caricature is kind of a trendy style. It does not have to be that, but they have a professional brand, which means logo and colors and topography,
Yeah.
van wraps, trucks, hats,
Yep.
brochures, flyers, all that stuff,
They got a
right?
brand book somewhere.
Basic brand package,
Yep.
right? They've got that. They'll also have a professional-ish website. Doesn't have to be in the top 1%, but they'll have something that's reasonably good. They'll have all their profiles, like Facebook and Meta and Google profile, and maybe other profiles like YouTube or LinkedIn, but like
Yeah.
at least a couple of the basic profiles. And they'll all have the same basic name, address, phone number, and cover photos. You can definitely tell it's the same company.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They'll also be running some form of, Meta ad, some form of Google ad. Might only be LSA, right?
Yep.
Might not be traditional Google ads, but typically some marketing activity on Google and some on Meta, and then also at least one other channel. Maybe it's door to door for them. Maybe it's print. Maybe I've got some clients that do like bus and billboards and smaller rural areas that can actually be pretty competitive. Right. But like you think about, like, you want to build a $3 million, $4 million, $5 million paint company, you got to have a couple channels that produce solid leads all the time.
Right.
It's like branding / marketing 101. And so when you look at these guys, you're like, some of the bigger players in the space. One of the guys I met, I had never met him before at PCA. He told me he was doing $20 million a year. I never even heard of this guy before. And he's in North Carolina.
It always shocks me about PCA.
Crazy,
like,
right?
I feel like we have like a very solid market share. I'm very proud of the brand that I work with, and every time we go there, we just meet people, and it's just like, oh, awesome, yeah, great to meet you. Oh no, I never heard of the company. How big are you guys? And they're like, oh, like 17, maybe 20 million this year around, and it's just kind of like, I've never heard of you. That's incredible.
I know.
The total addressable market is so much wider.
I met one of those in North Carolina, and the town is a kind of small town, and it was like, like, how in the what? Yeah. He's like, yeah, we just dominate. We have for like a couple of decades.
We just have owned always
volume. I'm like, wow. And so then I look at like a town, like I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and we have a couple million people here, and that's just in Jacksonville, not including the surrounding areas. The whole metro, I think, is like 3 million or something like that. Mm. And so and the largest company I'm aware of here is under 10. I think it's somewhere around 6, 7, maybe 8. Mm-hmm. There might be someone I'm not aware of, but that's the number one. And the number 2, I think, is sitting at like 3 or 4. Mm. Meanwhile, this smaller town guy is doing 20 million. I'm like, dude.
Yeah. Yep. And we have pockets of those as well. Like, yes, we have, multiple guys inside of the most, competitive and hard metro areas that there are. But a lot of times when we have these conversations, it's somebody who's in more rural, more suburban. They've been there since forever. They've had this domination kind of effect for a while. Now they just want to pour gas on top of that fire and, secure the foothold because they start to smell some competition. And they want to like kind of fortify.
For sure.
You talk to
and that's smart.
What you're doing, and it's just some astronomical number that's like way larger than. It's just so funny. It's funny how like just the geography and the affluence of the area versus that competition that really is the math that needs to get calculated in order to see what really ceiling is.
Well, I think one of the and I didn't get too deep into this guy's numbers, and I'm not going to share his name on the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't get permission or anything from the guy. But the area that he's in is pretty small, but it is an affluent area.
Exactly.
Right. So it's an area where there's a lot of like fishing charters and golf courses, and the skeet trap, the high end skeet trap, the guys with like the $30,000 shotguns and stuff. Yep. You're like, dude. So it's like one of those areas. In North Carolina, it's like, okay, so I mean, it's not a giant populous area, but the houses that are there, man, they're big. And so I didn't get into like his average job size, but I would bet it's over 10. Just because the size of the homes that I know that are in that area.
Yeah, I mean, and again, not going to mention, any specific names because again, permission not gotten them. We're extremely forward on privacy for sure. Guy in Montana that we ended up working with, again, a more rural kind of thing, but just has more affluence inside of certain pockets kind of thing. we started working with him, and we've already booked up the beginning quarter of 2027.
Wow. Wow. Like a whole year out.
Where he's a whole year booked.
Crazy. Crazy. It's time for him to hire some more crews.
That's the problem. The whole problem is that he cannot find enough people because it's such a rural kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's actually shipping people from other areas and advertising out of state to literally fly them and move them and help pay for some of the moving costs and some of the housing areas just to bring.
That's literally what I was going to say. I mean, when do you know Brandon Vaughn from Hirebus?
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah. I watched him speak at PCA last year, and
awesome.
yeah.
He has, and I don't remember. I know I've seen him talk about this analogy a couple times, and I don't know if he did it last year at PCA or this year. I've seen him do it a couple times. He talks about, like, imagine there's a seesaw in your business, and on one side is your ability to get customers, and the other side is to fulfill whatever you sold.
Yeah.
So it's acquisition and fulfillment.
Yeah.
And acquisition is going to be the branding, the marketing, the ads, the meta, the Google, but it's also answering the phones, messages, DMs, text messaging, CRM stuff, appointment setting, going to the home, pricing, bidding, closing, all that stuff, everything from A to Z to getting a dollar in a contract.
Yeah.
And then the other side is like getting the team and training in place to be able to do the job. Right. So it sounds like you're a guy. You help them overcome the marketing acquisition problem. Now they immediately going to have they have a fulfillment problem now.
And it's just an example of, because like most of the people that we speak to, they have the fulfillment down, and a lot of guys we talk to, they're like, oh, we could be double size what we are as of right now. I've got the crews, I've tested people, like I've got that. I just need help with the leads. That's why they jump on the call with us, and that's why we are who we are.
And I think that most of the time we have a pretty. I know you guys do too. We have a pretty thorough process in just making sure like systems are in place, because I've heard that before more times than I care to admit, where I've taken that word for them and then turned shit on, and then shit goes haywire. Because here's the reality: your operating system, fulfillment systems might be good at the scale you are,
right?
But if you 2x the lead flow, you have to 2x the operations.
Yes.
And at that level, when things are moving twice as fast or twice the volume or both, then all of a sudden you're going to get pressure on those systems that you haven't seen otherwise. And you'll find breakages in the systems and processes.
Yes.
And at volume, now all of a sudden you're spending more on marketing. And I've seen this happen where you double the marketing, and all of a sudden
you're quadrupling the problem, actually.
Yeah, you quadruple the problem, because now all of a sudden you can't solve the operation problem fast enough, but yet you're bleeding money on a marketing spend. You're like, shit, what do you do?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nuance to that, like how you'd advise like scaling up in that. But like,
that's what I usually ask, like when it's usually like that, it's like, okay, heard. And everybody should have that faith in themselves, and a business owner should have that faith in their capability. So like, I like seeing that. But I also ask, like, okay, so what was the biggest month you've ever had? And they go like, oh, it was this. And I was like, so when it was like that, could you handle that easily? Was it spinning a lot of, were you white knuckled the entire time? And I was like, yeah, kind of. It's like, so are you saying that you being able to do 50% more than that, would that be really comfortable and a healthy thing for the business, or would that be kind of redlining it, drinking water out of a fire hose?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe it's more like that size.
Or all of a sudden the volume goes up and you need to find 2 more crews, and the next couple and then maybe you find a couple crews, but you're onboarding. A lot of times what happens is, like, whether it's W2 or 1099, their ability to get crews and painters, or even in other trades, is going to be the same thing. Getting workers to come in, but not just getting people that maybe cross the check boxes of your hiring. Now you got to get them in, and now you got to train them.
Yeah.
Right. So like, trades can be a little bit less, but like for us, our average trainee is 90 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we hire people 90 days before we think we're going to need them. So we're constantly guessing at predictive workloads. It's like, I'm scaling here, and I think this marketing will produce X amount of workload in Y amount of months. And so I need to hire, like, you know what I mean? It's you add money to the marketing side of the seesaw, it tips the scale. You got to hire more on the production side to rebalance.
Right. It's basically us understanding that we are going to tip the scale, and you have to prep yourself against that tipping of the scale. Correct. So like a very common thing that I have on, calls official are, okay, understanding where your goals are kind of thing, but I do want to be very, candid with you. Like, are you comfortable with hiring like as soon as possible? Because when we get to demand and we get to where the levels are going to be, if you're not able to fulfill on that stuff is going to need to get in there. Are you willing to put on your hiring hat and get into those waters very quickly.
or bringing someone to help with that, right?
Right. Which not some,
Well, and Brandon Software Hire Bus helps with that.
yeah.
I like his tool. There's other ways you could just hire a recruiter, but like depending on scale, that might not be a play.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like,
You're being
you
predictive and helping solve the problem before.
you put resources on marketing. You got to put resources on fulfillment,
Yeah.
right? And I personally like using the word resources internally when I describe it, because I define resources as time, like my time or another team member's time, some sort of tool resource, physical or software tool, and or money, right? That, like, so one of those things, like it might be just like organic marketing, for example, is time. Door knocking is time, right? I could recruit through a network with time, but I could also sponsor Indeed. I could also sponsor on Meta.
I could
Like, so
also
like
just
you could
pay
pay
up
for it or you could put time
help
into both.
solve this
Like,
problem for me. So it's
yeah, for
the other.
sure.
Yep.
Mhm.
You got to kill it with money or you kill it with time. One of those.
One or the other. And growing now, AI starting to especially with agentic AI, it's growing to the point where like some parts of human roles can be like replaced, at least in part,
Yeah.
with agents, right?
Right.
I think that like we just deployed an AI based hiring tool. It doesn't replace, like, we still got to write job ads and do all that part. It just helps with the application process. It has
Assisting.
some AI step points, like one-way video interview, and then the AI actually analyzes the video interview,
Good.
personality questions, skills questions, and it just automatically rates them based on that. So that's
cool.
that's been kind of cool. Yeah, we just launched that like a week ago. We've been working on it all quarter. So we had like a very traditional like Indeed application to a thing, a human review to a first interview to another human review to a second interview, like very traditional, like just manual. And now that entire thing is replaced. So basically getting rid of all of the resumes are being analyzed with AI. The one-way video interviews are being analyzed with AI. The personality test is being done with a form and then analyzed with AI. The skills-based test is a form and then done and then analyzed with AI. And it gives us a complete candidate score. And then if they pass, they move on and are asked to book a meeting, which would be equivalent to our traditional second interview.
Right. Yeah. You just get the meat of the entire process.
So it's not replacing humans. Like, we still have to have humans set it up and monitor it, and still a couple checkpoints in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I won't need a first interview because they'll like that score will kind of replace that,
Yep.
and the one-way interview and stuff like that. So kind of neat system. And there's a couple of them out there. HireBus does the same kind of thing, and we're using a lot of agentic workflow in other areas. Oh man, you'll like this. You're not like me. So we use ClickUp for our project management. It's like manage all the things that we have to do. And that's the PM tool that we chose. And they have agents inside of ClickUp. And those are pretty cool. But they only see ClickUp. But we've had those for a little while. And I got like, daily task reminders. I have a CEO stand up that comes to my inbox 8 a.m. every morning, shows me a high level thing across all major departments, from customer service to web and ads and support tickets and like everything. Right. And I just have really high categories. I can read it in about 5 minutes, and it gives me a huge highlight of what happened the day before and what's maybe on the docket for the day. Helpful, because I can get a bird's eye view and I don't have to get in the weeds on anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Super great, right? Yep. Completely automated. Goes to my inbox every morning at 8 a.m. And it gets that information by the statuses and updates and notes and comments and changes to all the tasks inside the system.
Nice.
Right? Which my team is trained. Like, you can't just do a task. You have to document what you do.
Document the task. Yeah.
So then now the AI has all this information. But that still had limitations. So like, because those agents can only see inside of ClickUp.
Yeah.
So we just launched something maybe 2 weeks ago using Manus Agent, which is like a standalone kind of like chat. So we've been using Manus for a while. A few weeks ago, we connected it to all of our other systems. It has like connectors. So it's connected to our Stripe account and PayPal, and it's connected to our calendars. It's connected to our Go High Level CRM. It's connected to Slack. It's connected to ClickUp, our PM system. So it's connected to every major system we have. Everything from billing and invoicing, project management, sales, our online coaching community, like all of it. It's connected to everything that we possibly can connect it to, which is about 90% of everything we use. It's almost everything. And I can literally just go in there and say, hey, give me a stand up across everything.
Yeah.
Now it's not just a PM stand up. Now it's giving me like a finance summary and a customer service satisfaction summary, like everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, man, this is pretty cool, because it would take a human all day to give me that information. It's doing it in like 5 minutes,
Yep.
you know. But it still doesn't replace. I still have project managers, still have customer service. Like, it's not replacing humans.
Still need good people.
It's just augmenting what they can do. So they're going to be able to do more. Well, and for me, it's not even just about more. Like, yeah, we'll get more out of people because we're using this. For me, it's accuracy, because humans make more mistakes.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
Not even more different mistakes, right? Like, a program doesn't really get numbers wrong very often. You know what I mean? Where humans will. Humans will get context better than AI, but AI will get numbers better than humans will. So it's like, it just adds a really nice balance of augmentation to that. So we've been leaning into that really, really, really hard. We got some really cool stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working with AI for about an hour of every day, whether it's just like literally conversing or testing different things against each other, Claudebot, Node, and what's its
all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, it's what a fun time to be alive, you know, as far as this stuff is concerned. You know, this feels like it's even still, it still feels like it's super early. And
this is like, you know, like, well, early, like mid 1990s, when like the .com was like,
in SEO, like, this is
like that, like, again. I think it's like a once in a lifetime thing here that we're experiencing.
Yeah, the output stuff is just incredible. And
it really is.
It's like we're leading into that, you know, on the Tridas side. I'm leaning into that personally. Like, there's just, it's everywhere. So like, I just love getting into it and, you know, studying it, and also watching a lot about it, and watching how like all the major companies are behaving, and like where everything is going and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. This is a topic.
Oh, yeah. We could do a whole nother podcast just on that.
Would love to do that, by the way.
Dude, I love it, man. Yeah, we'll compare notes on what we're doing on AI at some point. But yeah, man, I think we're all doing kind of similar things that most of the people I know in the agency space are trying to find ways to leverage it too.
Oh yeah. If you're not, you'll just get left behind. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, you will. You know, I mean, I remember late 90s and early 2000s, like, companies were like, I don't want a website, I'm in the yellow pages. And they got left behind.
Yeah, left behind.
And this is that same thing, you know. There's that, like we talked about with the content, like, we're at a point, and this isn't really AI, it may be AI a little bit, but mostly just the algorithms of the platforms. Like, you have to do content now. There's not really an option. If you're a business owner, you need to be doing content. And I think you got to leverage AI somehow, some way, you know. If you don't, you're going to get left behind. One of the things we tell our clients in our coaching calls, there's a couple brands like Plod and a couple others where there's like voice recorders. They'll analyze your sales conversation. They'll transcribe your sales conversation in real time. And you can program it to do something with that, for like update my CRM, or send me an email with these notes, or send a Slack, or whatever you want to do. And so, like, by the time you get back to the truck, you already have like everything on the sales conversation, like, already documented. You know what I mean? Like, that's so powerful. Like, bro, you got to turn that on. Like, the device costs like $100, $150 or something like that. Just turn it on, dude.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Yeah, it's just it's such a leverage thing. I mean, I have 3 wearable devices all around, you know, and you can bet they had PCA. You know, I had one of them on, and you know, it helped me keep on top of what I needed to keep on top of, and know who I was talking to, and remember, because it's a lot of people, and you're a human, and you'll make mistakes.
And you sure will.
Did I talk to that person? I forget. And right, that person. And then you only remember when you see their face, because you're a relatable person, and that's how it's done. You know, it's like, okay, this can help keep me so much more organized. And I'm walking around and being like, why wouldn't painters?
And I mean, what happens if you're doing like a paint quote, and like they rattle off like 30 problems, and like one of them buried in like maybe number 17 is more important in their mind than you maybe gave it attention, and you missed it, and it didn't come out. You can lose a deal for that, or at least piss them off. Right. And so, like, being able to see all those things, and like right there, so you just don't miss it. You can make sure they copy and paste it into your drip jobs or whatever CRM you're using.
Right. Or you know, you could be talking to one person, they convey it in that particular thing, but then when they put the estimate together, then the wife takes a look at it, and she's I said I wanted the trim inside the living room. That's what I said.
Yeah.
And then you look like, and then you're not going to get the job because you didn't relay that, even though they just said it
No,
as a small little anecdotal thing. If you
I
had
know.
just taken the thing and done the thing,
Hmm.
that could be the make or break. Like, it's just too important.
Yeah,
Stuff matters. It
we
just
analyze our calls too, because like one of the things that I'm building is taking all the recordings from live events and the speaking stuff and shorts and mediums, but mostly the coaching calls. Because like in our coaching calls, I know you guys do these too, but you have to, a lot of times we have to advise people on things because they want marketing, but it also has some relation, like we just talked about with production or something, right? We're going to have to advise on some component or another. So we've built out an advisory rubric. In other words, a system of rules on when to advise on what in what conditions, and we broke it down into like growth tiers for the company, but also problems that are there. And it's like, if this tier and this problem, this problem, this problem, this is likely to play, right? And there's some stuff on nuance in there too, but it gives our team,
a
with
roadmap.
our team, yeah, it's a roadmap, it's a framework. Now you can tweak it a little bit, but it gives you a rough roadmap. Well, one of the things we're doing is we're turning this into an AI tool, and it's already actually in beta. A few people have seen it, but we've given it those documents, but we're also feeding it coaching calls too, right? The transcriptions of those coaching calls, at least. And so now with all of that information, it just has more and more information on like how we've advised in different conditions and what we've done. So it just basically, it's going to be like a digital coach from our perspective, you know? So that's been a fun project to work on, mostly cloud code on that one, you know? Yeah, but it's been pretty cool. And beta's already done, and I'm excited. We'll probably be full launch by the end of March.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's crazy, man. But think about like that. Like, how would you have tried to do that like even just 2 or 3 years ago?
You would have needed a developer.
In
You would
hundreds and
like,
hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
yeah, I mean, to even access
And
LLMs back then was a huge pain. There was only a few of them. They weren't public.
even if you didn't do LLMs, the programmatic logic would be so intense. Like it
You
would
can't.
be,
That's the thing. Like, you would,
I
yeah,
know,
that would have
it'd
been,
be so much. It'd be crazy.
yeah, you would.
Yeah.
It would have been a bunch of glorified if then statements.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it would have been way, 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 way more money, which put it out, like basically put it out of everyone's reach. It would have been maybe usable, but definitely not very good, you know? So it would have cost like 100 times more. It would have been like 100 times less effective. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
It's just the power right now is just so crazy. It's so much fun.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, do you have any final notes as we wrap up?
No, I mean, I think that, what we had talked about is, pretty essential to what we do. PCA was a great time. It was awesome connecting with you. It was awesome, go to the party and everything like that. Looking forward to the next one. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
and yeah, just, it's been a pleasure working with you guys. The clients that we share, I've always spoken just so highly about you guys, as far as just kind of going all the way back to the beginning of the conversation. They're just like good people.
Yeah, man.
And I talk to a lot of them. I bring a lot of them on. I bring people on who are using you guys, and it's just always very, very. I recommend you a bunch, and I'm going to
That's
continue doing
awesome.
so.
I appreciate it,
It's
brother.
just it was awesome to have them talk a little bit deeper. Awesome to be here, and
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to working more
Yeah,
together.
man. We hear from our clients that work with you, man. We hear nothing but good things too, man. So it's really awesome to have great people doing good things. We talked about earlier, tying something back that I think I'm pulling from this conversation is like creating legacy. And to me, the way that I hope to leave a legacy is not entirely just money, but like impact. I want to leave something with, if I can leave this world having changed a few people's lives for the better, I'm going to be good.
Yeah, I think the best way in order for us to really do that. I mean, yes, it's a personal journey. It's a personal kind of endeavor as well, but if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. If you want to go far, you go together, so like, it's about finding the other people who
Mm-hmm.
are on that same wavelength as well.
Yep.
So, as cheesy as it might sound, like, I feel like, you're one of the, I wouldn't say the few, but you're one of the select people that I would say, has that same kind of view. And I think we could do
Yeah, I
so
agree.
awesome things. I'm going to focus on doing that inside my life as well. But, there's a way to continue doing that together too.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. And man, Aaron, great having you. And we guys will see you in the next one.
God bless.